welcome to our first podcast. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want to promote AAM Pay, which is one of the companies which we are trying to start. And mainly it focuses on NRIs. So it makes sense to start this podcast and build a community around it. My first guests are Saurabh and Kushal. I know these guys for more than about Kushal for 8 years and Saurabh for about 6 years or 5 years. So been a while.
Quite precise.
So it makes sense to invite them for this first podcast which I'm doing. Hopefully it turns out well and let's proceed. So do you mind sort of just starting with your brief introduction? Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? All of that.
Sure. Saurabh Mistry. I'm from Mumbai, India. I came here back in 2013, December. It's been over 10 years now over here. I've been in California for the most time, I believe. Started with my master's in USC, then quickly moved to Bay Area for one of my jobs, and then hopped two jobs, and now I'm still in California, in San Francisco. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. And what about you, Kushal?
Yeah, so I basically came here in 2016
Mm-hmm.
and I came here for my master's
Mm-hmm.
at Georgia Tech and then moved over to the Bay for work. I was not a techie, so non-conventional background. So I'm a civil engineer, but I've had my own journey out here in the Bay with a lot of the other techies,
Yeah.
and now in the tech scene as well.
So
Yes.
crazy, right? Like you started from a non-tech field and
Yeah,
looked into Microsoft, right? So
yeah, absolutely crazy. I didn't expect that I'll ever work for a company like Microsoft because my goals were different.
for sure.
But yeah, just lived in London for a few years
Oh, nice.
as a kid,
Yeah.
and then now here, so I have a little bit of perspective of
How the
living the immigrant life in different countries with different stages of my life. So
yeah. So what about you, sort of like what got you into tech as well? Because I believe you started off or you studied electronics, right? So how did you make that transition, or what do you think?
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit more of my background. So my parents are both doctors, so it's a little unconventional, I would say, for their kid, their only child, to go into engineering. I think growing up, my aspiration was also to be a doctor, but just looking at how they've spent their life, it's a struggle, I think, doing medical studies in India. You're not settled up until what, 30 plus years. Um, and then life just continues after that. So it's been a journey where I understood that okay, not medicine, then what's next? Then I came into understanding that maybe I can try out biomedical, a biotech for that matter. And then slowly, as I grew up, I understood that I wanted to get my master's from abroad, primarily USA for that matter. So I started looking into engineering at that point. Also, my final year engineering, or my journey after getting into engineering college, actually drove me more towards pure technical studies as compared to biomedical or biotechnology. So
Yeah, makes sense. The reason why I ask this is because there are multiple ways of being into tech in Silicon Valley. There's not just one way, and Saurabh and Kushal are prime examples of that, right? They come from diverse backgrounds and have moved into big tech or startup tech, depending on what they like at that moment. Funny what you said. You said 30 years of struggle. So how do you think life has been here? Is it a struggle or you're enjoying?
I think over time you come to realization that you have to struggle irrespective.
Yeah.
Whether you're taking medicine or engineering, life is difficult as you grow. I think reality hits you fairly quickly, and I think you just have to hustle, get your way out, and keep progressing. I think that's it.
That's your mantra.
Yeah,
Yeah. What
absolutely.
about you, Kushal? What do you think? How do you define struggle here? What is struggle for you here, and how
I
do you
think
go?
the struggle here is sort of a little bit non-conventional, at least from my perspective. It's more about belonging and feeling out of place rather than the conventional struggle that, we have sort of learned in India, which is like, hey, you're either in a middle class family or, whatever. wherever in the strata of life you are, you're striving to be better.
Mm-hmm.
But here it's about, I feel like you have some of those other things sorted. You have typically people tend to have a good job and then they have some sort of, pathway to sort of make a living. But I think the struggle is more on the belonging side.
That's right.
Where you feel kind of out of place and maybe longing for things that you didn't imagine that you'd be longing for. So I think for me, that's the kind of struggle that I think about when I'm here.
And you're
Yeah, more like fitting in.
Or like, not really fitting in. It could be that you're kind of in between, right?
Mm-hmm.
You sort of somewhere you feel like you want to be in an Indian setting, but you also feel like you don't want to be in an Indian setting. So, so I think that's kind of struggle, at least from my perspective.
Understood. So just confused what your mind needs at a very large scale is what what you're saying. Yeah, makes sense because you see, I mean, social media I think has amplified everything when it comes to things, right? Like, is India good? Is United States good? Or where exactly to settle is something which even I'm contemplating on because I have no idea. So that gets me on the next question, right? Like, what was the hardest and practical adjustments you made in your first year? Like, anybody could start with that.
Let's see. Hardest adjustments.
Because I believe the first year would be the toughest because there's so many new things which you get explored to, things which you have to do, you can do, you cannot do, which is morally accepted here, not here, right?
Is this first year of job or
First year when you moved in or of your job, like how did you figure out, okay, I have to change my thinking, what was there in India, it does not apply here? Because I have plenty of my examples, how I used to behave when I came in 2014, but obviously I've changed over time.
I think a lot of survival instincts that you have in India, finding street food for that matter, that's difficult. Even the cheapest food item over here, maybe a Subway sandwich is going to be $5. That's what 5 times 80. That's a lot of money in India. You would probably have a lavish dinner, lunch, meal, whatever you want to call it. So definitely, I think that would be a starting point. The first thing, you need food to survive. You need a house to survive. So the very first time you come here, you don't know how the apartments are going to be because you've not physically seen the place. So I think just finding the right place for yourself, where you feel at home, and then actually making that home is the other struggle, I would say. Things are expensive, obviously, since coming from India. The multipliers are pretty high. So I think that's the initial struggles that you face, like just finding and figuring out your way around banking, figuring out your way around living, or just fending for food for that matter. I would say those would be the basics.
So that's like your first year struggle, just figuring out life.
I believe so, yeah. I would say first few months for sure, if not the first year. I think the struggles just amplify as soon as you start studying. And
Yeah, it's true. How about you, Kushal?
I think there's a little bit of sort of like a race here when you join your master's program, where like this urge of looking for a job, right? Which is sort of, you don't really think about that when you're back home, saying that, hey, you need a job to actually just survive here. I think that was like the big like switch for me, like, hey, you can't just focus on the thing that you're doing now, but you have to also focus on the thing that is upcoming, right? And then I've never lived outside of my home, so that was a big change. Just like trying to manage things and like barely surviving with eating whatever I could get my hands on. So that was
hostel life 101.
So I lived that later in my master's. I didn't do it for my bachelor's because I was home for my undergrad. But
Yeah, makes sense. Like first year, I've slept without eating food, without all of that. Breakfast was at 2 p.m. because there are other things. So kind of
bananas and milk.
Yeah, kind of reality hits you hard, right? Like in the first year.
Yeah, I think we're all well fed by our parents in India.
Yeah, that's true.
We're all spoiled by everything that they provide us with. So I think that's definitely one of the struggles, that you are just pushed into the deep end as soon as, if you've not gone for your hostel life in India, then this will probably be the first version of it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So that gives me a good leeway to enter the next part. So how did you figure, okay, so now you have struggled, you have realized what you need to do. And as Kushal said, you need to figure out a job. So how do you figure that out? How do you figure out what job to do, what not to do, how to do, and how do you move about that? Or how did you land up your first job, your first gig, whatever you must say?
Yeah, I think just a precursor to that, maybe finding a job starts as soon as you start your student life as well, because you're looking for a student job, right?
Absolutely.
Just to get some extra earnings so you can splurge, spend somewhere, get good food or whatever that is. But yeah, I think reality comes in or 10 months after when you're actually looking for your internships. It starts with that, and then the cycle just continues. I think having an internship, having the experience of looking for an internship gets you in the grind of, interviewing, figuring out what kind of jobs you like, and just playing around with, what kind of tech stack or what kind of, in your case, would be something else. But basically, you would figure something out at your internship. If you're lucky enough, you get an internship. In worst case, when you don't, and I think, again, once you're done with your master's, you have a very stipulated amount of time where you really have to find a job.
That's right.
So I think it's everything crammed up together, but things fall in place when you talk to people, your seniors, your friends. So I think just overall, there's a good community around here. Indian student associations are present in every university, so they do help out. There's a lot of online resources that will help you. So I believe all in all, it's a good mix of, talking to people, communicating, and just having your friends around, your family around to help out whenever needed. So
Yeah, that's true. What about you, Kushal?
I think the first thing one needs to learn is how to sell themselves.
Yeah,
So
that's
I think it's super important. I think the system does not work like the Indian system, where you have entitlement when you go to a university that you're going to get a job. So I think that's one of the first things that you have to learn very quickly. So if you already know how to do that, you have an advantage when you come. I guess that's anywhere outside of India, right? Pretty much, right? All the Western countries, but more so in the US, because they put an emphasis on you being the person that is able to sell yourself and put your, sort of like make connections, meet people. So I think that's kind of what I did, right? And I think that paid dividends pretty quickly. So right from just like having a connection with professors when I joined, like you said, like NRI was my first job, right? So working for like one of the researchers that was at the university. So I think that compounds, and for me, it was just building on to that led to wherever I ended up.
sweet.
yeah, I think you're constantly building your profile as soon as you land here. Just networking, understanding, and then building your resume overall. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, so one skill you'd say is like learn to sell yourself before you come here, and practice that elevator pitch for yourself multiple times, and that's the advice you say for people coming in.
Yeah, and I think even if you're an introvert, I think this is a prerequisite.
Yeah.
You have to communicate, you have to talk, you have to have the knack of selling yourself. It'll be definitely a lifesaver for sure.
I have a question for both of you. So, like, is it the same for software engineers?
Yeah,
as well?
pretty
Like,
much.
you guys have to still sell yourself.
Yeah,
right?
like even at the job fairs, if your university has a job fair, you have to go and talk to the recruiters. It's all about selling and talking over there, right?
Yeah.
If you can sell yourself, if they buy in what you're saying, make it believable, basically, then that's one less battle.
Right.
So
But I think over the years, tech hiring has changed a lot. When we came in, there was university fairs, all of that. But right now, it's I think in slump because of AI doing hundreds of other things. It's just not working out in terms of what traditionally worked. So we are in sort of a transition. So selling yourself will definitely matter. But I think updating your tech stack to your normal Java, Python, and all of that, move from there. And you have to have knowledge about that, but more in the space of how LLMs work, how prompt engineering works, how to best make use cases of LLMs.
Right.
I'm seeing a lot of that. At least people are getting hired. I don't know. I read a lot of economic things, which economic activity.
Right.
It's said that out of the 4% GDP growth rate, about 3.3 came in just from data centers, which is mainly backed by AI, right?
Yeah.
So that's a huge transition, which I'm seeing right now. So I don't know whether traditionally what worked for the last 12, 15 years, 12, 13 years I was here, it'll work again, or it'll continue the same path, or traditionally it will change, that people are getting hired from TikTok, social media, so all of that, getting your content out, speaking to people, networking, and that's about it, and you get a job, because uh, lead code and all of that will not, according to me, be that important like 2 3 years down the line. Like, because you have Claude, you have Gemini, all of that doing all the algo thinking for you. So that's what I think. But it's always good to have a futuristic sort of a perspective.
Yeah, I think upskilling and then adaptability
Yeah.
would be the two other skills then.
Yeah.
You just have to adapt to the changing
Changing times.
times, and then upgrading yourself.
Yeah.
Like you said, if there's AI, that's a lot of people think AI is going to take their jobs. But there's humans actually coding AI, right? So if you upskill yourself, it's just a utility tool to make your life easier.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can basically learn it and then adapt with it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think in tech it ever works that you can't, you never stop learning. It's not like school that, oh, you're done with your exam and then you don't recollect, or you don't want to remember what you have written on the paper, but it never works according to me. Every 4 5 years you have to reinvent yourself, build something new, learn new tech. It's always, that's what I've seen for the past 10 years, at least, which I was there in tech. So yeah, moving on. Okay, so this is like a heart touching, you could say, topic: immigration, right? Like, I'm 13 years in, 12 years in, I don't know how many years in, I still haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
The green card line has exponentially increased to 100 years. I don't know whether I'll get a green card in my lifetime, or my daughter's going to sponsor my green card. So it's tough, right? So how does that play in your mind? What do you think about it? What are your thoughts on it? How do you move forward? Or...
Yeah, I think it's a part and parcel. Every country has an immigration process. USA has a little difficult one, or a longer one, I would say, especially with the lotteries and the green cards and everything. But it's a part and parcel. If you're moving outside of your country of citizenship, it's a prerequisite. You'll have to get immigrated into the new country. So it's a struggle. It adds to the uncertainty for sure. That, what are you going to do? Can you even buy a house over here? Whether should you buy a house or not? And other concerns with respect to whether you want to start a family over here, and so on and so forth. So it adds up, I would say. It's definitely a struggle. It's always at the back of your mind that, is this new company that I'm going to apply to, is that going to sponsor my visa? A lot of times that doesn't happen, and people have to go back to India. So again, uncertainty basically adds up, and it's always at the back of your head. But you got to live with it. I think that's how it is.
So at one point you say that you stop thinking about it and just go with the flow?
Yeah, and this was one advice given to me by one of my previous colleagues, that, if you want to do something, just do it. Like, if you keep thinking about, oh, what's going to happen if 2 years down the line, I'm not going to have visa for this, you will never get to doing it. So if you think about something, if you're really passionate about it, just do it. When time comes, live in the present. When time comes, deal with it, I would say.
What are your thoughts about it, Kushal?
I think it's like a sort of sword that is always looming and hanging. I think it does pull your freedom of thought back a little bit. But I do like your advice. I might pick it up myself. Yeah, so I think I feel like it does take away the freedom of thought, and it does hold you back. I honestly do feel like, given the right immigrants, this country would be better off having a situation where this is sorted for them, and there would be more entrepreneurship and more, sort of like growth that would be brought to this country. But like you said, it is what it is, right? Like, you have to kind of deal with it, whether you're on visa, whether you want to apply for a green card, or so on and so forth, right? You have to kind of go through the process, and probably now is the hardest time. So you have to buckle down, and times were easy earlier.
Yeah. I mean, worst case, there are other countries that are willing to get immigrants in. So there's always an option for you.
Or go to
As long as
country.
Exactly.
So people should think about all of this, whether they want to deal with it before they come here, right? Like, because it's not easy, like, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you spend a lot of money doing your masters over here.
Yeah.
If your incentive to do masters is purely get more money over here, I think then you should rethink it. But if your incentive is to, follow your dreams, and your passion, and you really want to do what you want to do, just go for it. And when time comes, you'll deal with it.
Sure, makes all the sense. What about?
I think that, yeah, definitely people should think about it. Now more than before, they need to have a strong mind where they are willing to deal with all the issues that are coming their way around immigration and everything else, because I think policies are going to keep changing until they settle down. So it's going to be a few years of turmoil, right? It's kind of the way the wind is blowing at the moment. So if you're going to come now, or if you're someone who's here, which I have, people that I know who've come recently and are studying or just about to get a job, and they're just having to bite the bullet, So that's kind of what you do.
But I don't think people think that much. I think.
Yeah, I never thought when I moved there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I never
I
thought
feel
about
that.
it, what's going to happen. So pretty much when it's not, right in front of your face, you don't think about it. So
Yeah.
like I said, if you really, really want to follow your dreams and passion, you just do it. Just make sure that you have a plan B. That if this doesn't work out, what's going to do?
So does it mean that, are you hinting that you should in plan B have a home in India, have some backup? What is your plan B? How do you define your plan B?
Well, the way I look at it is your family is still back in India,
Yeah.
or at least my family is still back in India. So I would always think for that, there's something to fall back on. Obviously, they're going to be there, so you need to make arrangements for their life, just like they did for ours. So that's my look.
Yeah, I think for any human sort of need, it is important to have what you call home. And I don't know about you guys, but like, do you call your home as the Bay, or do you call your home as by also in your
I think
place?
it's always debatable. So I've come to conclusion that I want to call my US home this,
Okay.
and my India home back in Mumbai.
So I think it's more about the feeling, right?
Yeah.
Rather than actually having a place. Doesn't matter whether you own the place or rent the place, right?
Yeah.
It's actually like having a feeling that this is what you call home. But of course, if you have your own place, right, if you have a place that it's like a belonging for you back home, wherever home is,
Yeah.
right? Whether that's here or there, I think.
That's probably, I think, one of the mistakes which I made, didn't get a home pretty soon. Like the second I started running, and now when I have a kid, I have a wife and me, and with the immigration status being so up and down, I wonder whether that was the right decision I made, because you guys are close to me and you guys know that I'm all into crypto and stocks like continuously. So now when I look back on things, should I have done things differently or what? So that's a big question. So yeah, I
The
don't
question is, would you have made more on your home stuff?
Hindsight's 2020. So
Yeah.
you always keep thinking about it. Like buying a house for sure over here, it's like that.
Yeah.
Every year it's increasing 20-30%.
I don't know how. I have no idea. I'm like, my salary is not increasing that much. I don't know. That's some of the questionable things which happen in the Bay Area. That irrespective of recession, no recession, or people, property prices in good school districts compound 15-20% easy. I don't know why that happens. I've tried to figure it out myself. But hopefully, with the new mortgage laws which are passed, things will settle down, and then let's see. But again, buying a home here, and then I've had examples where people had to leave because 90-day notice of H1 got over, and then what do they do of the house? Do they rent it? Do they not rent it? Do they sell it? So especially in COVID, right? Because you couldn't rent a place or find new people, so they had to sell it not at a great profit, which they could have in 1 year, right? So things like that, because your EMI is continuous, right, for the next 30 years. So you're paying 10,000, 9,000, 8,000, whatever your EMI is, and if there's no income, it gets difficult after a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
I think as long as you have the appetite for an expensive house, you can get it, or even for a house for that matter.
yeah, that's true.
You should be strategic about it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Kushal?
Sorry,
I know
what was the question?
I know you're in real estate and like with your family and everything. So I know you'll have love for real estate, but what are your thoughts on Bay Area?
I think the Bay Area housing is primarily driven by stock options and IPOs. And that's a very risky market to be in, because if typically real estate can be a hedge to the stock market, and that's how it happens in most countries, well, almost all countries, right? But in the Bay Area, that is completely disconnected, right? So they're sort of like hand in glove, especially. So basically, if you have money in your, Mag 7, that's basically driving the real estate as well. So depending on, even if you're just on real estate and not on Mag 7, you're still into Mag 7. Right.
Yeah, that's true. Like,
So-
sorry to cut you short, but
Yeah.
S&P is like for 60% Mag 7, so
Right.
it makes all the sense of what you're seeing.
Exactly. And then the money that is rotating into it with the high paying jobs that we have here is all still continuously going into that, right? And then those are the people selling their high stocks to then buy more real estate, because real estate is considered as a relatively safe holder and store of value.
That's true.
So, and that's kind of proved over time, even though there are dips. But so I think that's my point of view, that you're still, if you're buying real estate here, your exposure is still the stock market.
Stock market. Yeah, that's what.
And also, sorry to cut you off, but also that's one of the ways to get your tax deductions in. So might as well pay the interest, reduce your taxable income.
That's true, because the reason why I say this is because in Silicon Valley you get exposure to the future of the world. And like, for example, I was a big believer in Tesla back in 2018, and I probably told everyone how I love Tesla, how it's going to explode, all of that, because I was a crazy junkie who would just try to go hang out near the factory in Fremont. But that's what, right? 2 years down the line, everything boomed. So you have to add on to Kushal's point, right? Just because it compounds, because S&P is doing well, because there's new tech coming in Silicon Valley. So that's one of the advantages, or you could say disadvantages, depending upon where you land up in Silicon Valley. You could go about thinking accordingly, right? So you'll have a home if you earn a good home if you're on the Mag 7 earning good stock options, or you invest properly, seeing what's happening around you, keeping your eyes open and making sure that, this thing can change the world, so why don't you get ahead and invest 2, 3 years early. It's more about how you invest rather than you just sit on your money. That's what I think, and that's what has worked for me. But I don't encourage it for everyone. It's not for everyone. I'm a different breed.
I'm thinking of now stories of how you tell me I have X in my bank account, rest is all invested.
Yeah. Famous stories, right?
I need to buy a cup of coffee.
Where I would ask, hey, do you guys have $5? Because I have $2. I need to buy coffee because everything is invested.
For the record, wasn't as bad as the coffee. It was somewhere around. Maybe lunch was a problem.
Makes sense, but I've shown, I don't know about Saurabh, but I've shown Kushal that I have $5 in my bank account. Like, I'll pay you splitwise when I get the cash in, because everything is invested. So I don't know what to do. Like I said, don't follow my the way I do things, because I'm a little crazy when it comes to all of this, because I'm well read. So that's a different topic altogether. But let's what do you miss or struggle to find or to understand, what people in India don't get what United States is about? Like, for example, what was your perspective of coming in, and versus like when you entered and you were like, oh my God, I have probably chewed more than I could bite? Or have you had that experience where you're like, oh, I can't do this, but then you somehow push through and break that barrier, right? I have had many examples myself, like emotionally, physically, you could say monetary, everything. Like every time I'm like, okay, how do I do this? I don't know, but then somehow you figure it out. So something of that sort.
Maybe we should start with you.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got lots of
So I do have stories, but the podcast's not about me. I'll maybe make a point later or add on like last point. But it's about you two.
I've not really had any kind of crazy experiences. Like a lot of things are new over here. The way things are done, like banking, for example, is different. In India, you have to go, or it used to be that way, where you have to go to the bank, figure things out over there, talk to someone, and then you'll know what to do. Over here, a lot of things happen online, so you don't have to step into a bank ever, most of the times. Things like that. But I think apart from that, I've not really had any kind of negative experiences where, oh my God, how do I do this? Except for, how do you reduce your taxes? That would be probably one thing. But that's everywhere.
How about you?
It's a great plug. I think I was pleasantly surprised how little like you can be dependent on other people, because it seems like in India everyone is so dependent on others for things. Like either that's like some house help, or just when you go and buy things, or like you said, go to the bank or whatever, and there are like 100 people just there serving another 100 people. But here, like, you don't, I mean, there's still dependencies there. You still want someone, delivers a package and so on and so forth, right? But you could get by doing a lot of things without being directly dependent on others, right? And I think that's, to me, like a very big difference between the two systems, and how so you sort of like, there's two challenges to that. One is that in India, if because you're dependent on people, things can be expedited or slowed down by people. So it can work both ways for you. Here the path stays the same, right?
Yeah.
So like, if you want something to happen faster, it's not going to happen just because you need it to be done faster, or something's not going to be slower just because someone just wants to screw with you, right? So it's just going to follow its normal time, like immigration for that matter. So
That's true, but unless you have like 800K, you can get it in 2 years. It depends whether you have that cash. Right. So entitlement works only if you have like, I think more than $1 million you can splurge around, but to get there, you really need to work hard, right?
Yeah.
So,
True.
What has your struggle been?
uh, so sometimes I think I make my life difficult on purpose, because I believe that if you are comfortable, you don't learn something. So I do it purposely on myself. I go really hard on myself. Like with my MBA, right? My kid was born 5 months into my MBA, and I still pursued my MBA, completed it. But it was part time. I could have done it 3. I completed 2, graduated with 4.0. But then the struggle was that the late nights I had to pull in, right? Like I used to sleep at 2 with a new baby. Get up at 5, 7, because of course there'll be noise. It takes a toll on your health, takes a toll mentally.
Yeah.
So a lot of new things, but I always feel that you need to struggle so that you break the barriers. I could break the barrier of my net worth because I struggled from 2018 to 2020, right? Because I chose that I should not have that money and invest everything like Kushal was saying, but that was self-inflicted. I could have not invested, I could have enjoyed, but then would I have had achieved that success, which would have given me the confidence that I can do this? I don't think so, right? So I keep on testing myself, and that's what AAM Pay is also about, right? Like I'm testing myself whether I can do this, and I'll attach my you could say link to the website. You guys can sign up if at all you're interested in. It's more so let me just talk briefly about AAM Pay. AAM Pay is basically what we're trying to do is build a community around NRIs where we service all their needs, starting from home loans, and then we'll go into remittances and other services. So that's what we're trying to do. And because I think there's not one-stop solution, right? And now this is a struggle because I've completed my MBA, but I have not started a company ever before. I don't know what goes into it. Theoretical is very different from practical, but let's see where it goes. I hope this is a good market to be in, and let's see. Time will tell how this goes. That's all I can say. But given the thing, I see that the NRI community is always increasing because there are a lot of people who want to move out, and that creates an opportunity for us. So on the flip side, I am very confident, but will it take time? Yes. Will it be a struggle? Yes. Will there be uncertainty? Yes. But that's what life is about. What we learned here, right? always see that there's so many uncertainties that you deal with it daily on a daily basis. Not like our parents' generation where my parents lived in the same city throughout their life, right? So, and that's okay because that was the time then, and things have changed now. So, yeah, that's what I believe about struggle, about punching your weight always through, and hoping everything turns out well. That's all you can do. So,
Yeah, sure it will. If you put in the efforts, it's gonna show.
yeah, let's see. Let's see. That's all I can say. Fingers crossed. Like I mentioned, let's start with this. How much do you put emphasis on networking? And what do you think is the phrase network your net worth actually true here if somebody is coming?
I think it's like we spoke about this at the very beginning. Networking is it's ground, it's table stakes pretty much. You need to network. You need to basically understand. Like it's all about gathering inputs. If you network, then you'll know that there's an opportunity somewhere. Could be a job opportunity, could be a business opportunity, could be something else. Just if you want to find a few friends playing badminton or a few friends playing cricket over here. Networking is going to help you find anything and everything that you need. Could be online, like in person anywhere, or could be offline as well. So yeah, I think it's part and parcel. You have to network to understand what's out there and what you want.
For sure. What are your thoughts?
I completely agree with him. I think that networking is like one sort of biggest differentiator of where your life takes you, despite the amount of effort that you put in. You can control the effort that you put in, right? But networking is what's going to like multiply that effort that you put in into whatever sector that you put in and wherever, whatever your heart desires, basically, right? And I think also it's important, like you're in a country which is relatively diverse, so take advantage of that. I think it's easy to fall back to your own community, whether that's sort of a regional community for where you come from or, whatever the case is. So I think it's important to sort of like venture out.
Yeah, and talk to. So after your 9 to 5, you do something, right? You just don't sit at home, watch Netflix, and chill or whatever.
I would say it's not just about after your 9 to 5. Even in your 9 to 5, networking helps you a lot.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because you could find colleagues who have colleagues or who have friends basically, and can connect you. So I think it's 24/7.
It's 24/7.
I have a question for the two of you. What's your take on the remote culture affecting networking?
Brilliant point. I've been remote myself for the past 6 years. I've kind of figured my way around it. So, but yeah, then beyond your 9 to 5 really matters. You also need some sort of online presence, so you can keep yourself engaged. There's a lot of content out there. You follow the right kind of people, you follow the right kind of accounts, you will learn things. So I think it starts from there, and a lot of people are communicative. Like these are human beings behind the screens doing things, right? So if you reach out to them, a lot of them will respond back. If you have questions, you can ask there. There's online portals. There's Twitter. You can write your heart out over there. And then there's obviously in person. You can beyond your 9 to 5. You can obviously go out, meet people, and network.
Yeah. So what I used to network a lot until 2022 or 21. That's because I decided to give my GMAT and focus on my MBA because I felt I cannot code for a living for throughout my life or be this. I just struggled with that concept. I wanted to try something new. It was 6 7 years. So I used to. And then from 23 to 25 was all MBA, all in focused because that was the first education I was paying for. So I was like, I'm not going to do sort of play around because I did on my dad's cash. I messed up. I messed around. I did all the mistakes I could so that I reached a point where I said, no more mistakes. And that actually helped me because, like I mentioned, I graduated with 4.0, became like the keynote speaker, all of that. So that validated the point that hard work pays off. But then from 23 to 25, or 26, you could say, where I was not networking, I felt like disconnected from a lot of people. Now, be it remote, non-remote, like 9 to 5, you could go play cricket or whatever after 9 to 5. You will always find your way out, right? So remote culture has not impacted. So because 2022, I was going out, doing whatever I want to do with other people, meet people, all of that. And from 22 to 26, I've seen like a drastic decrease in my network. And that has really hit me on multiple fronts. Like initially when I was trying to find a job, all of that, right? Because I just knew you guys and not like those external contacts where I could go and reach out, right?
Right.
So it did impact. But then, like I said, every mistake leads you to a new opportunity, and this is the new opportunity which I'm trying to build. So again, so something positive came out of that, and I'm great, and I'm trying to network, and I've started playing cricket again.
Nice.
Going out, meeting people. I think I've met you both after a while. Yeah, so doing doing all of those things again.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely affect if you're an introvert and you've not really
Yeah.
adapted.
Yeah.
So if you're not talking to people, you're not.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, you will pay heavily. Trust me.
So fair to say that don't get comfortable with the
Not
remote life.
Yeah.
You still need to do the deal.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Don't go off Instagram saying America life is amazing. It is amazing in a way as long as you don't take everything for granted, because nothing is granted for you. You have to work at least, I could say, 16 hours to reach not even a certain point, but like just a comfortable point. And then you could probably slack off. But until unless you have not reached, I think you grind at least and take those December vacations in India. That's about it. Nothing else.
Yeah, I think you just need to be smart about how you're
Yeah.
allocating your time.
Yeah. 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 So now looking back, this gets me to the last question, you could say. Looking back, like I mentioned, you already said what mistakes you have done, but just give it a deeper thought on what you would recommend other people not to do. Like, and then what advice would you give them coming in here? Like, oh, like we spoke about multiple points, right? But if you can brief it up, summarize it so that if they're seeing it, they're like, okay, these are the 5 points or 4 points, and we are good to go. And then we could close this.
You want to go first?
I think so. I mean, you know this. I joined a startup about 4 years ago, and before I switched to Microsoft, I think one of the mistakes that I feel is that I should have started or joined a startup day one.
Yeah.
Right, just after graduation. I think there's plenty. If you want to start a company, there's plenty of opportunities here. Or if you want to be a part of a young company and wear many roles and wear many hats, I feel like there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in this country. And personally, I think looking back, that's what I would have done.
Okay.
Right? So
Start small and then go big.
start small, and then I think that experience just compounds.
Mhm.
You know, when you join a small company and you sort of are doing customer success and sales and product and dabbling into things that you've never ventured into before.
Yes. So, like people coming in, if they don't get into FAN, don't be disappointed. Is what
Yeah,
you're trying to
I
say?
would actually say, like initially in your career, you should not join a big company.
Yeah.
Right. I think when you're hungry and just out of university, you probably will learn way more in a smaller company than you would learn in a bigger company.
Yeah.
The bigger company learning is important.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's structure. It tells you how to run a big organization. But if you're someone who really wants to build a company, then learning from a smaller company is probably going to be like, hey, this is what I can do when I start my company.
Right.
Yeah.
Rather than, hey, this is what I can do. How can I start $100 billion company tomorrow? Right? It's not going to happen. You have to take baby steps to getting to that company. Right?
Because I always dreamt of FANG. I've not never reached FANG level, even though I've tried a lot. One thing which is common amongst all of us have startup experience, and then I think that's a game changer, right? Because in startup, I've done so many different things, and it gives you a sense of confidence, which I don't know about FANG, to be honest, but it'll say, hey, I can do this as well. Oh, I can. So I gave my company the tagline, right? So I was like, oh, my idea can become my company's tagline as well. Wow. I don't think you can give a Facebook or Microsoft a tagline sort of a thing and you'll never win, right? So something of that sort boosts your, you could say, confidence to another level. Oh, yeah. So
100%. I would say, I think I encourage everyone to make their own mistakes. You learn from it. Like you said, if you wouldn't have done what you did in 2018 to 2020, put yourself in discomfort, made some mistakes, you wouldn't have reached to where you are right now. So I definitely encourage everyone to make their own mistakes. Just a quick thing that I would say is that always be ready for pursuing what you really want to do. Have your mind set on things. Obviously, do your research and then plan accordingly. Be strategic about how you are allocating your time. And this applies everywhere, whether you're in America or in India or someplace else. If you don't do the right things, you're not going to get someplace. But if you make the mistakes, realize those mistakes, and then fix them, you'll obviously make progress. So everyone's going to be having a different trajectory. You cannot really map your life with someone else's, or so I would just say, just keep struggling. I think if you get into discomfort, you're going to try to move out of it and fix it. But if you're complacent, I think you'll just stay there, and that'll stagnate your life. So
That's true.
I think that's my advice, unsolicited. But
So make mistakes, join a startup, make always struggle. So those are the three. Those are the three self-inflicted struggle, right? So those are the three takeaways for everyone who wants to come here in the next couple of years, because things are getting crazy and you don't know what's going to happen next, right? So on that happy or sad note, let's end this first podcast. Thank you guys. I wouldn't have done this without you two for sure.
thanks for inviting
Especially,
me.
yeah, especially Kushal being my first friend here, and you
First friend, I have the baggage of the first friend.
and you being my second friend of the show. So yeah, thank you. Yeah. Hopefully, you found this video really insightful and learned something from it. Please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Each and every view means a lot to us, and hopefully, you guys are waiting for the next one. Follow for more.